Okay, continuing. I was going to play Mage Arena because Mage Arena is a super fun game where you use voice chat to cast spells in the game, and it means that 100% of the players use their mic in the game, which makes it extremely fun and kind of immersive too, because you're just talking like you're a wizard. I don't know. You don't have to. It's nice being able to. I feel it. I feel like it's the closest I've ever actually been to the inside of a game world, I think, where I'm using my voice IRL. It feels like I'm swinging a sword and hitting the enemies in a game. That's what I want in my game. And this is a piece of it, because in Magic, you would use your voice maybe, or cast spells by drawing stuff in the air, and that's one option, but the other option could just be with voices. So, oh god. Oh, it's making me giddy, man. I'm puckering up a little. Okay. I'm spending my time, instead of doing that, my break time and my time after, a little bit, like an hour-ish maybe today, 30 minutes so far, looking into, one, calling family, but two, looking into Unreal Engine VoIP. I don't know what VoIP stands for. Voice on something public? What does VoIP stand for? Voice over Internet Protocol. Oh, that makes sense. Well, I'm trying to learn VoIP, where you could have two people in a game server. One, I need to figure out how multiplayer works, which would be cool. Excuse me a second. Just ship a copy of my game to my buddy, and then boom, we join into the same server and we're good. Figure out how to make it secure. Figure out how to make it so we can hear each other. Figure out how to add effects to the voices. Figure out how to make them echo. Figure out how to make them attenuate so that we can hear each other. Hey, what are you doing? Well, that's not even good. It's like until finally it's full volume when you're actually close. Stuff like that. Just little like environmental things and figuring out how to make it work with multiple people. I just texted my buddy that I'm annoyed that my desires right now are broadening. Like, I have this ideal single player game that I want to make, and it's my game, and I just want to be in VR and just sit on my bed, and VR is fully simulated so I can move around without limits and do whatever I want in the game, and boom, follow the game. No other people or anything. AI, maybe NPCs at some point, but really just combat. But now I have this desire, and my ass is puckering up again because I'm nervous about it, but it's exciting. Creating something that's multiplayer. I don't know, just the idea of that is now fun, and I don't know why. And I guess it's because I've never seen a game like Mage Arena. I don't know, just the idea of a little tiny indie game with a small purpose, but a fun purpose, and a nice little game system loop, and having VoIP, just like a little single player random dungeon thing. Oh, God. Like, even Barony would be fun with VoIP. Does Barony have VoIP? Yeah, Barony doesn't even have VoIP by default. Oh. Oh, it does now. Nice. Okay. I don't know. Alright, let's go. Temporary class objects. Like, even just a hide and seek game or something. I don't know. Just, there's a lot of stuff going on in my head. I don't like that my desires are broadening from this main purpose to something else. But these are other things that I can use on my way there anyways. So, okay. Temporary class objects. So, we're talking about temporary class objects, meaning like class point2D, whatever, private in X, and Y, public, whatever is a constructor, and the default constructor I can't use with list initialization. So you actually have to make one in order to do it like this. And then whatever, int main, and then we create a point2D point, and then whatever, initialize it once it has a constructor. And and actually that's not correct. I could have a function called point2D get random point, and then it creates a point2D, passing in a random number and a random number, and then we return it, and this would be get random point, boom, and well, it's not having, there's some issues here, but whatever. And it returns a temporary one, so it returns a point 2D with 1 and 2. And this doesn't work because there's no constructor found, and then blah, 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 whatever. Cool. So we could return temporary points just like we could return a seated Mersenne twister if we wanted. A bunch of things we could do. We could like get a point and then just... It's a bunch of stuff. What are we... A whole... That's a pretty long section for temporary class objects. Okay. I mean, they should still just be destroyed at the end of the statement. All right, here we go. So, add int x and int y and sum. Oh, we could just create a class for sum, but well, I don't know if we would want to do that. Sum stores x plus y in a variable, returns the value of that variable. Okay, cool. All right. And so we do add 5 and 3, it returns 8, and then after it's inserted, after the end of the statement, the temporary is destroyed. In the add function, the variable sum is used to store the result of the expression x plus y. Variable is evaluated. Okay. Hold. Oh, instead of just return it, like, why would we want to store sum like that? Maybe we want to print it in there to make sure something happened. We may as well just return x plus y, right? Yeah, exactly. And that's just a temporary. Instead of returning a temporary that was already copied from something else that's going to be assigned. So we're literally assigning value to here. Well, actually, not here. Actually, never mind. This is fine. Well, we're still copying it from here. So I guess it's not a temporary in that case, but let's see. Variable is evaluated in the return statement to produce the value. Do returned. Yeah. Yeah, just like returning a standard uniform int distribution that's initialized with the range that we want and is calling the Mersenne twisters identifier. We don't actually have to store that standard uniform int distribution. But also with function arguments. So we could say print value, int sum, print value sum. Oh, instead of that, you could do print value and then a function that returns the sum. Oh, or just pass in 5 plus 3. Yeah, duh. Okay. Yeah, because 5 plus 3 evaluates to the temporary of 8, which is not destroyed until the end of the full expression, which is basically the line. And then, so the value goes into print value as an argument, which is then printed, and then boom. And which is copied to this local variable, and then boom, the parameter. Yeah, we don't have to define and do that. We don't have to scan through the entire function to determine whether it's actually used. Yeah, because we see sum and we're like, hey, where is sum actually used? Oh, it's just to return. That's it. In the case where we need nev, are we going to be like assigning something? Oh, we'd be incrementing it. Makes sense. Yeah, because we can't. If we. Oh wait, hold. Oh well, yeah. There's actually a couple cases. So one, we have int sum, which is an L value that's non-const, and we're passing it, and we're getting a reference to it. Hold. We're passing an L value. All right, yeah. And we can increment that L value. But if we pass in the temporary is an R value. We can't pass it by a non-const reference, and a non-const L value reference cannot bind to an R value. So, yeah. So if we're passing by a non-const, we have to pass an L value, so we can't increment that. And even if this was a const L value reference to an R value, we still can't increment it. It's fucking non-modifiable. It's a const, yo. Temporary class objects. Okay. Meaning that when we pass it and it's a temporary, we can't modify it. Meaning that if we create a temporary class object and we pass it somewhere and that somewhere is modifying it, we can't because it's const, it's initialized, and even though the objects inside it, the sub objects, the data members, might not be const, we might not be able to even call those. Maybe? We use a class here. Structs with aggregates. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. All right, so if we're looking at main, we have an int pair. Int pair is a class, so we have an object called int pair p, 3 and 4. So we probably have a constructor that's initializing two data members with 3 and 4, two integers probably, and then we're going to call print on p. Okay, so we have the class int pair. Yep, two integers. Cool, has a constructor. Cool, has a member initializer list. Cool. Constructor doesn't do anything else. Cool, we have two getters. They're const, so they don't modify anything. They're saying, hey, we're not modifying anything. We're certifying that basically. And I'll continue this till 9:45, and then we'll do the self-test. And then we have void print. In this case, maybe you'd want to do an int pair reference if you don't want to access the two ints, if you don't want to copy both ints. In this case, maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't. Okay, and then we're outputting them. All right. But if we did a temporary and we passed it, oh, yeah, we could just print the temporary p it dot this, it dot this. Maybe that's fine. Hold on. Go to your bathroom. Real quick. Be right back. Oh yeah, I also need to do my laundry really quick. I just need to put stuff in the washer and start it. That way, right before I go to bed, boom, I can get the laundry going. In the dryer. I have comfortable underwear in there, and I might actually be out of underwear. All right, be right back. Okay. It's not too bad. 3 minutes to take a... Wait, I flushed, right? Yes. 3 minutes to take a pooper and to do laundry? That's not bad. That was 3 minutes. I left at 13. All right, let's go. Actually, no music is okay. It's superior right now. In case one, we're instantiating... Yeah. So we have an actual object, but we're only... Maybe we're... In this case, we're only doing it to print P. So... in print P, we're accepting R values because we aren't modifying the value. So we don't need something that is modifiable because our values are non-modifiable. We're not modifying it, so we're cool in this case. Okay. In print, we'll accept R values, so there's no reason to define a variable, get rid of P. And we just pass it int pair 3, 4, right? We can do that by passing a temporary object instead of a named variable. Cool. Also known as anonymous or unnamed. Cool. It has no name and only exists for the duration of a single expression. Well, I guess it is the single expression, maybe not the full expression, because it's evaluated, and if P returns something, then we get the return value of P, and whatever that value is gone. So excuse me. Okay, I think that makes sense. I forgot where we were using full expression and when that was important, but I don't think it's super important, so it's fine for now. Okay. Yes, and it spans the duration of a single expression. Coolio. So we could do two different ways. What would the two ways be? So we could say point P. Oh, can't we do, well, you could probably do type deduction. That might be one way. So you could do auto and then the initializer and bop bop. Or you could do the class and then bop bop. Wasn't there something else? Oh, I guess it was type deduction, huh? I think that's what it was. I think it was, we were doing return auto, or a return type of auto, and the function was returning an initializer list. And the initializer list would be used to create a temporary whatever the hell the auto is. So if we have a point 2D and we have a function that returns a temporary point 2D, we could just have it return an auto and we could return 3, 4. And then it would use 3, 4, pass it to the constructor. The constructor would then initialize the data members of this temporary unnamed anonymous object, which is then returned by value. Boom. Two ways. Hold. Okay. Two ways. Oh, we don't even need type deduction. You actually can just implicitly do it just as the initializer, assuming that there's nothing else, I guess, in scope that it would convert to, huh? If you had vectors and other classes, then wouldn't you maybe want to be careful doing that? I feel like I would. I feel like I'd rather say int pair. I think 2 is the ideal here. So we have an int pair, same shit, and we're passing an int pair explicitly. It's an int pair. Because if there was something else, what if there was a freaking character that took 2 integers, his health and his damage, or his health, his damage, his strength, and his agility? 4 things. What if there was a fucking point 4D? Or a point with a template, and we don't even know? Well, that wouldn't work, because you at least have to know how many parameters there are. A point 4D. Well, is it an int point 4D, or is it a health, damage, strength, agility character? We don't know if we just pass it like case 3. We do know if we pass it here, because we could say point 4D, bop, 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 character, bop, 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 you know? We're telling it it's an int pair object and initializing it. It has no name, it is a temporary. Yes, cool. But in 3, we're doing the same thing, but we're implicitly converting an initializer list of 7 to 8, which works because we have a user-defined type to implicitly convert, seems like. From the function parameter, meaning that when we use the initializer list, it's treating that like, I guess it's going to try and check, just like if we had print and then some arguments or no arguments, it would go and check, hey, is there a function for print? Well, if we do an initializer list like that, where we're not actually assigning it to anything, I guess it's going to go and try and call all the constructors that it could find, huh? In this case, we're creating the named P. Oh, explicit. Create named object P. Okay, we don't want to do that. We're doing temporaries here. And we're explicitly saying the type versus letting the compiler do the conversion. I don't want to do that. I don't want the compiler to have to figure it out. A few more examples. Standard string hello versus a blank. Okay, well, yeah, fucking duh. Creating them via direct initialization. Oh, instead of list. We can create them via direct list. What about other types? I don't know why we would want to, but okay. Can't do it there because there's no foo something equals it. You can create temporary objects using direct. Boom, boom. Yeah, true. Same result. Oh, okay. Probably shouldn't do it. Okay. One, it looks like shit. Because it's one space away from being a function call. If I squint... Okay, it still doesn't look like a function call because there's a space, but okay. Alright. List initialization. Oh, cool. Help me understand, brother. Look at the case where we don't have any arguments. Okie dokie. Alright, we got some foo action, huh? And we're calling it like this. Ooh, that looks like... Yeah, guess what else is identical to, motherfucker? The function call. Or a constructor, well, right? Yeah, so it does work as the construction call. Oh, I don't like this. I guess we'd get an issue anyways if there was another one, if there was an actual function called foo that was a function call and not just a constructor. So that's a temporary foo. What? Oh, well, when we have a named variable, it's different though. So when we have a named variable called bar, wait, it's a named variable. What? The fuck? Hold on. So if we do a type foo and it's called bar, it's value initialized. So it's a type foo with whatever default value initialized member data members inside it. And then we have a foo type bar, but then we have, or in bar is the identifier of the type foo. And it's named, bar is the name. And then we are direct initializing it, but it's different. Oh. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. It's returning foo and it's called bar and it's a function with no arguments. Or parameters, sorry. Yeah, that makes sense. If it's named, it doesn't work. Okay. Ready to get real weird? Foo type with one. What? Okay. Yeah, it is temporary one. Okay. Function style cast of literal one, meaning that we're... Why are we calling it a cast? I mean, it seems like we're using one as an argument. So we're returning a temporary foo initialized with 1, right? Yeah. But then if we do foo and we pass in a variable, what? Defines variable of type foo? Okay, that's weird. So if we pass a literal, it's cool, but if we pass a variable, it's not returning it initialized with var. But with bar, defines a variable named bar instead of passing bar. Instead of being able to that is crazy. So if literals can't be treated as variables, then it's cool. But if we're doing a variable, then it thinks that we're defining it. Why would you ever define it with that syntax? Well, yeah, and if we're just grouping it, then it looks like it's foo space bar, but it doesn't have to be foo bar. Like, couldn't we just call it int x 3? Yeah, but isn't it unhappy then? There's no space, so I'm surprised. Oh, but the parentheses creates it like int x or int x. Oh no. Oh no. It's okay with that. I don't like that. Okay. That makes sense. More complicated statement. Oh god. Foo times bar. This looks like. Oh no, is it a pointer to a foo bar? Oh god. Initialized with nothing? I don't even know. With none, groups it with foo, so pointer to foo called bar. Oh no. Groups it with foo. Oh, it's duh, it's fucking returning. Okay. So if we do it there and we do it there. Oh, okay. So technically it seems like when we're doing int asterisk x, it's really grouping the pointer operator, I guess, with the x. So it's really int space pointer x. So it's pointer x to an int. Just like here, it's function bar. Wait, what? Oh wait, hold on. In this case, it's actually grouping it with the foo. So it's really bar. Wait. No, so it is. No, never mind. It is fine, I think. So it's actually. It returns the. Okay, so if we do int parenthesis or int asterisk x, it actually is grouping it. So it's int x. So it's a pointer to x, a pointer to an x, or a pointer to an int. Int asterisk x. X is pointer to an int. In this case, it's a pointer to a foo in the function called bar with no arguments or no parameters. Boom. But if we do foo and then parentheses bar, we get a function pointer. Whatever the fuck a function pointer is, that points to a function that returns a foo. Yeah, it holds the address of a function that takes no parameters and returns a foo. Why would we want a pointer to a function? I don't know. And then foo in parentheses bar, same thing. Oh wait, really? I'm surprised it's not treating it in the second case. I would think it would treat it like the first case. but I guess not because it's okay. And then finally, foo parentheses. You would think it, but it actually calls function bar. What? But nobody knows what a C-style cast is. Casts the return type to function foo, and then, or to type foo, and then discard. Oh, bro. Man, these language creators are cooked. Parentheses are complex because they're so over. Okay, well, at least I get to learn all these fucking retarded rules so that one day I don't have to use them. Maybe. Or at least I can be like, hey, it's the same thing. It's like having children one day after I've already worked with like 50 autistic kids and learned all their shit and learned how to help them through life. Bro, when I have some normal children, I'm going to be squared away. It's going to be so much easier. But, no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. This includes function call. Oh, hold on. Parentheses are complex because they're overloaded a whole bunch, so it depends on the. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I could see operator parentheses, and then there's 40 million overloads where, oh, if it takes a pointer, it does this. If it does this, it does this. If it does this, it does this. And the rules are how the rules are. That's it. That was a fucking eyelash in my eye now. Direct initialization of objects. Okay, I gotta get this out. This is so annoying. I don't even know if it is one, but it feels like one. Never mind, I guess I'm on cocaine. I'm just tripping. GG's. All these different things. You see parentheses, it's not always straightforward. Okay, makes sense. There's a whole bunch of rules, but if we see curly braces, we know we're dealing with objects. Yeah, stick with the curlies, yo. Excuse me. Fun. I don't know about that. Temporary objects in return by value. Hold. Yes. Yeah, we have a function called. What? What the fuck are we doing here? Okay, here we go. So we have an int pair returning function called return 1, and it creates int pair, and then for some reason it fucking has it named and returns it. That's the case 1 we saw earlier. Case 2 where it's returning as is, and then case 3 where it's going to implicitly convert it to a pair, an int pair. The 3 different ways. Yeah, cool. I mean, we already saw the shit earlier. Washer sounds like a blood. I gotcha. So it actually is doing it extra times. So not only, in this case, is it assigning this value to this object, it's also getting another temporary object that's returned here. It's not just, oh, it's using P, it's actually creating another one. So whenever we return something, we're returning a temporary. So in this case, it's returning one temporary initialized here. One temporary that was converted, initialized here. Versus this is shit. We're assigning the values here. Cost is 1 mana. Creating another object, no cost. And assigning it those values, cost is 2 mana. And then we're assigning it somewhere else, cost is 3 mana. Compared to returning, we're creating an object and assigning it value, and then we're assigning that value elsewhere. 2 mana. Cheaper. 2/2 versus 3. And then this is probably best, second best, third best. So best, And it's because this has an implicit conversion versus no conversion here. Alright, we're almost done. In the case of an int, when used in an expression, it's an R value. It can only be used where R values are accepted. Makes sense. Duh, we can't be assigning value to a fucking R value. Yes. Yes. Okay. Oh, this is gonna go hard. It's metal. Static cast versus explicit instantiation of a temporary object. Okay. Why are we gonna static cast? Oh, because we can cast something. Or really, we're gonna cast something else to be this object. Or explicit instantiation? Oh, could we put it inside as... Really? I could do it that way. Interesting. I haven't seen it that way yet. We've always done static cast, bop, bop. We could also say int, and it's initialized with C. So we're getting a temporary int that's initialized with C. Interesting. I really hope we get their actual voices. Makes sense. Got some string action. Why is that there? That is disgusting. Put it on standard string. Put it on. I was sounding like jinxing. Print string.h. Why is it called that? That is terrible. Okay. We have a string view looking at a C-style string called hello. Oh, but we're converting... We're using a reference to a standard string. Uh-oh, I don't know about this. Yeah, that makes sense. So we need to somehow convert the standard string view to a standard string. So we could do a static cast. Oh, to a standard string. Or we could do a standard string and list initialize it, temporary. Or get another temporary standard string and direct initialize. That was a banger. Do it again. Temporary standard string, direct initialize. Yes. Wait, what? Oh yeah, it's standard, makes sense. Oh, it is direct. That's true. That's how the static cast syntax works. Okay. So the parentheses in here aren't like a function. It's some sort of casting stuff. Or maybe it is actually. Maybe it is just a template class template. And we're creating an object of this type. Boom. That's converted with in the constructor. List initialization versus direct. And the problem here is that there might be some other shit that direct initialization chooses as the overload first, or ambiguous maybe. Which doesn't support string view. i.e. direct or list. Or, oh, in this case, we don't have a standard. Oh, there's no standard string view in that file, but here we can use it. So the cases: static cast, explicit, list, explicit, direct. And so direct is called C style. Okay. The first static cast in converting to a class type. And why? It's because class can only work for fundamentals? Or static cast can only work for fundamentals, maybe? Really obvious that we're getting different behavior. So we say, hey, we have a character. Yo! Static cast this bitch to an int. Why? So that we can use standard character output, the O stream, in order to print that motherfucker as an int, not as an 8-bit int, which is a character to the compiler. Or actually, in that case, well, it's a character. But if we just want to get the int version. And if we want directs for some reason, to avoid list constructors, so we can have two different types of constructors, maybe? Interesting. Oh, this is the end, and then we're going to do self-test. Prefer creating a new object. Oh, and we're talking about creating a new object instead of temporary. Okay. Oh, wait, hold on. We're talking about list when we do this. Protection. Basically, some class shit. List initialization. Not fundamentals. Boom. Static cast. Ooh, standard vector soon. 2 chapters away, baby. What am I learning next? There's so much shit to cover in the next 2 months. Fuck. Fuck. Crazy stuff. Friend functions and static stuff. Vectors and arrays. Cool. But then we've got sorting, dynamic memory allocation. We don't even know new and delete yet. I have no idea. Pointers to functions, no idea. More overloading. Whatever the hell move semantics and how that stuff actually works, maybe? I don't know. It's probably different than the assembly move stuff. Object relationships, aggregation, dependencies, container. Nobody knows all this. Like people do. I just don't. I'm stupid. Constructors and inheritance, virtual functions. Fuck, those are in Unreal. Damn it. Classes. Oh, fuck these templates. Exceptions, input and output, streams and O streams and shit. Ay. Oh wait, all right. Introduction to the copy constructor. That is tomorrow. I keep forgetting that whenever I bookmark something somewhere else, I have to um remember that whenever I bookmark something in one folder, the next thing I bookmark is going to that folder. Just like don't be a fucking idiot. That's basically it. So through chapter 13 now. And how far was I yesterday? Did I not get far at all today? Oh, we did delegating and temporary, and that's it. Wait, that's it? Oh, I'm cooked. Oh, it's over. I'm done. Yeah, it's over. 2 chapters today? Oh, nah. Not even. How far are we here? Oh, okay. All right. Two's okay. I get. It's really not. I need to speed up. Go quick. All right, let's go. Okay. Please. Oh, all right. Fuck the random stuff. I just have to go. Why? It didn't even think. It didn't think at all. Hello? Why is it doing this format? Short answer? I'll do it, whatever. Maybe it's good to get some correct answers instead of just all short answer. Go. Not the answers. Jesus Christ. All right. 3-1 on push-ups again, both sides, real fast. Gotta finish this real fast. It's an excuse because I'm a wimp right now, but doing it. Let's. Okay. Oh no. Is this door come? Oh, it must have already been like that. Oh god, I hope so. My door's fucked. Hold on, let me check that really quick. Why is my door messed up? Bro, I 100% did not do that. Yeah, I don't know how that even happens. All right, well, I'm gonna submit a work request before I go to bed just to make sure that they know that I was not doing. I did not do that. There's like a little gap between it. Yeah, I didn't do that. All right. Ooh, my feet started sweating. That's no good. All right. 69, nice. A class with a public member. That's it? Man, what kind of shit ass question is that? All right. That's it? Huh? Okay. Excuse me. Excuse me. The fuck is that? I'm tripping. I need a fan. It's hot. Oh, this song is going ham. Get down on your knees, Jesus. Make member functions private. Make classes more usable and less complex, i.e., so the user interacts with them via their public interfaces instead of directly accessing member data members, which puts the burden of invariant maintenance on the user, i.e., simpler to use and understand and safer. Public means that the data member function is accessible to the public, i.e., other classes and functions outside the class definition. In addition to objects of the current class. A class constructor is a function called automatically when bro, what is going on here? Is it one of the hairs? I'm starting to get like some longer hairs on my chest. I didn't think I got them up here. Oh, I do. Oh my god, I did. Yeah, it's just a long hair. Blowing in the wind. Instantiated, hold on. A class constructor is a function automatically called when because it instantiates, so when creating a class object. It uses a member list initializer to initialize data members. If its constructor has a member initializer list. Or member, yeah, I think that's the order. 65. Encapsulation, the process by which a public interface is created. Is encapsulation process, is the paradigm, is the process and system through which, the framework in which we access private data members with public member functions, reaping the benefits of question 68. My answer in question 68. i.e., private data members are hidden from the public, but accessible through public member function. An enum class is a scoped enum that places its enumerators in its own scope, which must be resolved using enum or operator scope resolution. The enumerators don't implicitly convert to integers, nor are they implicitly comparable to other enum class, other values outside the enum class. In contrast, an unscoped non-class enum is one that places its enumerators into the scope its definition is included in. I lost my Yuki. Call me the girl from Mirai Nikki. Future Diary. Into the scope its definition is included in, which implicitly convert to integers and are comparable to other values, unlike scoped enum enumerators. Operator dot is the member selection operator that lets us access specific data members of an data members or member functions of a class object. If the object is a pointer to a class object, we use operator, this guy, the arrow operator, do the same thing. Without having to first dereference the pointer object. Aggregate initialization is when a struct isn't an aggregate, i.e., that it has no virtual functions, has no private data members, and doesn't violate any other criteria that makes a struct a non-aggregate. Can be initialized via list initialization, which initializes data members in a member-wise fashion. An unscoped enum does what I've explained earlier in question 64. 16. Standard optional is an object or is a class object that optionally returns a value. You can check if it holds a value by dereferencing it with operator dereference. Yields undefined behavior if it's empty. Or well, hold. Check if it holds a value by evaluating it as a condition or calling dot holds value. Right? Oh, has value. There it is. Has value. And use it by with operator. This guy, dereference operator, yields undefined behavior if using empty standard optional or dot value yields throws an exception if used when empty. This lets us return an empty object that we can that can be evaluated as empty or filled without returning a sentinel value. Okay? It's like the best type of sentinel value. What does this print? Integer x is 5. Pointer to an integer p gets the reference of x, or gets the address of x. So I point it to x 5, and if I output it, it prints 5. Prints 5, then ends the line without flushing the buffer. Easy enough. Denote a null pointer by assigning null pointer to it. Can also do assign 0 or null, but those prioritize integer function overloads if passed as an argument. Use null pointer since it's explicitly a pointer to null. Nothing. $59. What? 59. 58. 57. I'm just tripping. Reference is an alias of an object. A binding to it that behaves as if it's the object. References cannot be assigned to be other objects after their initialization. Can be const to treat the object as non-modifiable, or to allow binding to non-modifiable objects, const L values or R values. A pointer is an object, not an object, pointer is an object that holds another object's value, or null pointer. Pointer to nothing. Pointer to nothing. Literal pointer to nothing. Pointer can be evaluated as a condition to determine if it's null or not, and dereferenced to access the value it points at. Pointers can be reassigned unless a const pointer to point to another object or to null pointer. Pointers are more dangerous because they can be reassigned to null pointer or objects that might become invalid, while the worry with preferences that their one referent might become invalid, making the reference dangle. 6. Const expression is different. Wait, hold on. What? Oh. A const function returns a const. Well, hold on. Temporary value, which is already an R value, which is already non-modifiable, likely. need const when returning const references, or pointer to const. Const expression instead makes a function evaluate at compile time if it's called in compile time context as a constant expression, if only passed constant expression arguments, and only if it executes code that can execute at runtime. Explained in 56. A default function argument is a value that a parameter is initialized with if not given an argument in the function call. Default arguments must come after, to the right of, all non-default, or of all parameters without default arguments, to avoid ambiguous function calls where the compiler can't tell if we're omitting a required argument or using a default one. A template function, or well, a function template is a structure, or is a structure that the compiler uses to generate versions of a function with its placeholder type replaced with the type deduced from unique function calls with unique combinations of argument data types. Those generated versions, specializations, are called those function calls. Generic programming via function templates reduces errors because we can write code that handles multiple argument types without write code once also reducing redundancy and repetition. Jesus Christ. Repetition? Yeah. Function overloading is creating multiple versions of a function that all share the same identifier but take unique combinations of parameters, including parameter count, data types, and data types. The best match overload is called by each function call. If no best match is found, implicit conversions performed by the compiler to yield the best match instead yields multiple best matches. We get a compiler error due to an ambiguous match. 51. Explicitly convert a double to an int via static cast int double value. Tell the compiler that we're okay with the narrowing conversion. Narrowing conversion is a conversion from data type A to data type B, where data type B cannot represent all values of data type A, possibly yielding data loss depending on what the actual values are. For 9. Auto keyword performs type deduction where the object's data type is set to match the data type of the initializer. If standard character input receives the wrong type of input, it will fail. Keep that failed input in the will fail to extract with its state set to fail bit or something like that, preventing further extraction successes, and leaving the invalid input in the input buffer. We can fix this by checking standard character input as a condition. If standard character input, then checking if standard character input.eof is true, because the user wants to exit the program. If so in that case, we should call standard abort. And if not, we clear the fail flag with standard character input.clear. Then ignore the invalid input via standard character input.ignore up until an endline character, standard numeric limits, standard stream size, max, which ignores all characters in the ignores the max number of characters the stream can hold, which effectively clears all up until the end line character. Include assert. Right? Oh, it is C assert. Assert is used to catch errors at runtime, catch errors, validate, catch errors, and faulty assumptions at runtime. Careful, because release builds usually include, or well, usually define and debug, which disables assert statements. Static could use assert. Make sure the player doesn't exit on map bounds whenever they perform an action. 44. Oh, 46. What is 46? Oops. This should be 46. 45. Generate random numbers by seeding a Mersenne twister or other pseudo-random number generator. Then calling it to generate a number. These are deterministic, so they can technically be predicted, but we see them the best we can to make do and simulate randomness. Specifically, I'd initialize a standard seed sequence. Use that to seed the Mersenne twister. Then call the Mersenne twister identifier in a standard uniform initialize the value range I want. Probably not what's it called. No. Purposeful. Fuck. What is it called? Fall through. Fall through. If we forget to include return or break statements after a case or set of cases logic, subsequent case logic executes until the end of the whole switch case, because the switch owns the statements, not the cases. Switch statement is useful for evaluating a fundamental and integral value and comparing it to known cases, each of which triggers specific behavior. Use break to exit a loop early, loop or switch statement early. If statement, if x is 10, if x is 10, output high. Cool. What linkage does a const variable have? Internal. B. Internal. Because it's const. A const global variable. Const global variable. 39. Static makes a local variable get be instantiated at program start and destroyed at program end, instead of being created at definition and destroyed at the end of scope. Because of this increased lifetime, value persists between function calls. Why did... I don't know that happened. Still don't know. Variable shadowing is when an inner variable shows the name of an outer variable. Right? So if we have int main and x3 and x2 hold. Yeah, right? Okay, that's cool. Because they're in different scopes. It's just that when we're here, we can use this, but when we're in here, we're going to use this. And the compiler will will make calls inside the inner variable scope, only call the inner variable unless we can resolve scope to access the outer. If both are defined in a function, we're screwed. Bitwise AND operator, it returns a bit, a binary integer with bits true that were, with bits set to 1 that were 1 in both. Wait, what? Bro, what the fuck? It definitely doesn't do this. Answers are either D or A. I'm thinking D. A, does it combine the bits by adding? No, it definitely doesn't. No, it doesn't. It definitely does D. D. Returns a binary integer with only bits that were set in both operands set. i.e. 0 and 0, 1 and 1 and 1, 0 will 0 and 1 and 1 and 1, 0 yields 0, 0 because no bits were true 1 were set in both operands. 36. Include bit set. Condition, true value, false value. Attorney evaluates a condition and returns the true or false value, depending on the condition's result. In X, true, 1, 3. X set to 1 because condition is always true. Therefore, prefix increments X before evaluating, while postfix evaluates after. Prefix is somehow more efficient. Why? We do that and then we evaluate versus evaluating and changing? I'm not sure. Returns the remainder of the two operands, positive only, i.e. -5, remainder 4 gives 1, because 4 fits -1 times into -5, yielding -1. Leaving 1 left over that doesn't fit. Left over in 5. Right? Ah! Fuck. It actually does do... Never mind. We'll hold. Forfeits are -1 times, and there's -1 left over. Okay. Alright. 2, because integers drop decimals. Aren't floating points. Can't. Multiplication operator, true. Standard string view is effectively a pointer to const to a substring. So it can't be used to change the substring. It can only be reassigned to point to another substring. Standard string is not a non-owning view, and instead owns the sequence of characters it holds. Standard string for storing and manipulating strings, and const standard string reference or standard string view to view strings. Apparently standard string view might be better for viewing compared to const standard string reference. Oh shit. Oh, it's over? Fuck. I gotta answer I gotta evaluate my responses. Motherfucker! Bro, alright, come on. Fuck Duck, that's what I'm saying. By default, make member functions private. Oh, whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to say member functions. I meant to say data members. Okay, that's fine. What is public, accessible, spot on, cool. What is a constructor? It's just one way. Not all constructors use initialize lists, so they could do different types. Okay, so it's constructor body. Hold on, can. Okay, so constructors can do this other stuff. They don't all need member initialize a list. They could do it in the body with copy assignment and some other shit. Yeah, all right, fuck that. Nobody uses that. Excuse me, encapsulation. Excuse me. Partial confusion. Uh-oh. It applies to aggregates. Yes. Duh. Yes. Okay, it's exactly what I said. It was just wrong. Without a cross reference, but in an example you'd want to stand on an answer. Motherfucker, shut up. I said it doesn't. It did not. I said it did not. Oh my god, I just told you that it doesn't. Wait, bro, why did it say you good? Okay, I can't. Denote with null pointer, I swear, when it says it's thinking, it's just trash. Correct and modern, detailed and accurate, partial confusion. Oh, mess me, I'm right. Const functions does not mean, hold on. Oh, you motherfucker. Bro, are you kidding me? You were asking this in a previous chapter where const wasn't used there. Const used for a member function is between, it's not before, it's not for the type, it's between the body and the signature, and it says, hey, Mr. Compiler, I swear I am not manipulating any const data members. I swear. And that allows you to call it on const objects. Okay, fuck off. You just framed the question bad. Should be standalone answer. Suck your own. Excellent. Cool. You just can't access. Yeah, I'm screwed. I can't access the outer one. That's the whole point. I am screwed. Correct. Okay, cool. All right, I'll take it. Perfect. Always room to still improve, but I mean, that was good. See you tomorrow.